Okay, for the installation of end connectors on Heliax, this video is specific to Andrew or CommScope Heliax, and also to the positive stop end connector. So if we're dealing with the positive stop connector in the Heliax, this should apply. Slight differences for the half-inch, but we'll try to cover those the best we can. I'm sorry we don't have half-inch Heliax to demonstrate at this time. So the first cut is to remove the outside jacket. So we want to measure out 50 millimeters, and that's where we're going to make a cut right there on this vinyl jacket. Once you've scored all the way around, you can go parallel to the Heliax and cut through. You might even be able to tear it off with your fingers at that point. Okay? Now for the 5/8 inch, it's best just to go install your O-ring at this point. And then on the body of the connector, there's interior threads on one end, and it's smooth on the other end. The smooth end goes on first, and bring it all the way back to the stop. If you were doing half-inch, they do include a cutting guide for the outside conductor. If you don't have that, you can slide the body of your connector up. See how it will slide on a lubricated O-ring? I didn't show the lubrication of the O-ring, but you'll want to score right on the top of that peak. Since this is 5/8 inch, I didn't demonstrate the lubrication of the O-ring, but you'll want to lube that up. Install your body. And then on 5/8 you can just go ahead and install your ring. .5/8 comes with a cutting guide for the outside conductor, and you can slide it on. And instead of using a saw, just use your knife. And the goal here is to score, not cut all the way through, on this peak. You don't want to cut in the valley. This washer really should be slightly thinner to get right on the peak. So we want to score all the way around. And then you can remove the washer. Once you scored on the peak, you can get near the score mark but not right on the score mark, and go ahead and plunge all the way through the outer conductor like that, and then continue to the end. You need a sharp knife to do this. Once you've cut through and you're confident you have a score right on the top, you can take some diagonal cutters, grab the outer conductor, peel it back at an angle, and it will tear on your score line. This technique is better because you don't have a saw in here and creating a lot of shavings that'll get in the dielectric. Next step is you can take your knife and you can cut through the dielectric all the way down to the center conductor. You don't want to cut through the copper cladding on the center conductor, but just down to it. After that, you can use almost any pliers really to grip the dielectric, crush it down, twist it, and before you pull it off, go ahead and rotate it back and forth, and then when it comes off, it will clean away any of the residue or the adhesive that was on your center conductor. At this point, you can go into the end, and it's actually flared a little bit for you if you use this technique where you just score it. But they want you to make sure there's no adhesion of the dielectric, and just use a pocket blade to crush the dielectric a little bit and make sure there's a gap between the outer conductor and the dielectric so it's flared properly without dielectric in the way of the flaring process. If you're doing 5/8, they have a cutting guide that looks like this. Goes right on the center conductor. Go ahead and slide it down. And you can cut it with a lot of different things. I'm going to use these pliers deliberately. I'm going to use pliers that really appear to be too small. Remember, the center conductor is soft aluminum. It will not damage your pliers. It'll snip that right off. And now you're in a good position to file the center conductor to length so it matches the cutting guide. When you're done filing, you can pull the cutting guide off. There's a chance you got some filings into your dielectric, but it's not likely. If you see any filings, use a brush. A toothbrush works fine, and just clean them out. But it's probably going to be clean. Next step is there has to be a bevel on the center conductor. This is where some people might apply some tape over here to keep filings from getting in there. It's not that critical. So beveled, about a 1 millimeter bevel all the way around your center conductor. When you're finished with the bevel, clean this area out. Make sure you don't have any filings in there. Then you're ready to test fit. The second half of the connector has the beveled edge. That's what flares the end of the connector. And you can test fit this. So you can put it on and push it forward just like this. If you push it forward and you see a gap here, your center conductor is too long. And you're going to be in trouble because if you tighten this down and draw these two halves together with this gap, it's going to stress these pins that interface with the center conductor, these fingers here, and it'll break them off and it'll ruin the connector. The whole connector will be ruined. You can see that's why these are broken. But this is our test connector. If you put it together and there's no gap, then you're good to go. You're ready to cinch it together. Lubricate this. Second O-ring here, I'll simulate. And without moving this part of the connector that has the hex nut, keep it stationary. Bring the back part of the connector forward till it engages and go ahead and hand tighten it. Once it's hand tightened, you can use adjustable wrenches to complete it, to cinch it up completely with about 20 foot-pounds of torque. Remember, when you do this, this part here, the front of the connector with the hex nut, doesn't move. It stays stationary. We only rotate the back half around till we reach about 20 foot-pounds. There you go.